So we're going to wrap up our sermon series that we've started 3 weeks ago, Choosing Wisely. We've been taking a look at some intentional big decisions in our life that we can take, and we have a decision of which way we want to go, of which choice we want to make, which direction we want to go. But I've been encouraging you to choose wisely because the choices that we make determine who we become. The choices we've made in the past make us who we are today, and the choices we're making today are going to, in large part, pave the road for who we become tomorrow. So choose wisely. As we wrap this up today, I just want to ask you a question. How many of you, by raise of hands here, how many of you wish you had more time in the day? You wish you had more time in the day to do what is important to you. You just wish you had more time. Pretty much everyone has put your hand up. Most people would say this. I can't see you at home, but I'm willing to bet you have your hands up because we want to have more time. People say, I wish I had more time to rest or to read or to spend time with my kids or to work, to garden, to fish, to cook, whatever it is that you are into that you like. Maybe it's going to the beach. Maybe it's going to the lake. I don't know, but whatever it is, you say, I wish I had more time for, you can fill in the blank. But if you're also like most people, you say, well, I've got to mow the yard. I've got dishes to do. I've got work to do. I've got projects going on. I've got chores to complete. I've got schoolwork to get done. I've got bills to pay. I've got kids to raise. And the list goes on and on. I wish I had more time to do whatever it is, but life is happening at warp speed. I just don't have enough time. We wish we did. Have you ever noticed that when you go around and you ask someone, a very simple question, how are you doing? How are you doing? I think the answer I hear more than anything else is busy. I'm busy. I don't think I have ever been told, not a single time, I don't think I've ever been told, I'm relaxed. I'm just chilling with my kids, hanging out. I don't have much going on right now. It's great. I've never heard that. Then we look at other people that seem to be Wonder Woman or Superman and get all kinds of things done, and we say, how do they do all that they do? How do they get all of that done in their life? I mean, we know that we have the same amount of hours in the week, 168 hours. But how do they get so much done? How do they accomplish so much? I can remember as a teenager complaining about wanting to have more time to do different things, and my dad would say this statement, you have the time for what you care about. I can hear him saying that. You have the time for what you care about. Isn't that true? I do have the time for what I choose to have time for, and guess what? So do you. And so the choice that I want to talk about today, the choice I want to take a look at today, and this is so important. The topic is this. The choice is this. I want to choose the important over the urgent. That with God's help, I'm going to learn to choose. I'm intentionally going to choose the important over the urgent. Now, you may be thinking, Mike, urgent things are important. Let me show you the difference in the two. Because I'm going to argue all day long with you that urgent things aren't always important. Let me share a couple of examples with you. Let's say you own a business or you're a manager of some sort in your business and you have a customer who is ticked. They are upset. They are really mad. They are about to blow a gasket. You think they might have a heart attack. They are upset. They are angry. And so you have to step into the situation and you start dealing with this angry customer. And it seems important, right? Yeah, it just makes sense. You need to de-escalate this situation. But it's urgent to have to step in and take care of them because they're so mad, they're so upset. But creating systems to keep customers from getting to that point is really what's important. Because if you do that, then you don't have to deal with so many angry customers. Two different things. One is urgent. The other is important. How about if your car needs repaired? Let's take it a little step further. Your car needs repaired because you drove your car without any oil in it. Granted, you didn't drive it very far, very long, but it has now become urgent because you need a car to be able to get to work and do your chores and do your different things you need to do. Getting your car fixed is urgent, but what is checking the oil? It's important because it takes care of things. If you become sick and you don't take care of yourself because you're running around all the time, you don't get enough sleep, you eat terribly, you're overwhelmed, you're stressed out, you freak out on too much, you have too much things going on, you're just stressed. And so you got to go to the doctor because you're not feeling well, you're not doing well, and that is urgent. But taking care of your body is important. I like what Seth Godin said. He's a thought leader. He's an author. He said this. He said, if you choose what is important, you won't deal with as many things that are urgent. Think about that. I like that. If you choose what is important, you won't deal with as many things that are urgent. I mean, just think about that. He went on to say, he says, the opposite is never true. If you are only choosing what is urgent, then you will never get to deal with the important. He's got a good point. So today we're going to choose the important over the urgent. So what I want us to do, I want us to open our Bibles to the book of Luke, chapter 10. We're going to look at a story in the New Testament. Some of you are going to be familiar about this. It's a story that people go to every single time we're talking about the important over the urgent. 99.9% of preachers are going to choose this story from Luke chapter 10. Because it has two characters, and everyone can relate to one of the two characters. We have Mary, and we have Martha. So often we can relate to Martha because she feels so overwhelmed by the urgent of what is going on, and we can relate to that, but she misses what is important. So here's the story. Luke chapter 10, we're going to pick it up in verse 38. It says, as Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary. Well, we're going to see that Mary chooses what's most important in this situation, what's going on. It says she had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. Okay, Mary chose what was important. But Martha did what many of us would do. She conceded to the urgent. Well, we're going to see that Martha got all freaked out. She got worked up. She got in a tizzy. She got upset. She wanted everything to be just right, to be just perfect. And honestly, I can't blame her because Jesus is in the house. Jesus is coming over. Now, let's just be honest. If you find out that someone that you think is really, really important is coming over to your house, how many of you go into frenzy cleaning mode? You just try to get it all straightened up, all done? Man, when I was growing up, we did that on steroids. If my mom knew that someone important was coming over, it was clean on. And it got really bad if she knew our preacher was coming over. If they were coming over, she would just freak out and get all frenzied, and everyone get to cleaning. Put stuff out of sight. I don't care. Just hide it, dust it, clean it. Whatever you got to do, it's got to be spick and span when he gets here. And she would get all miserable about it. She'd get all stressed out, and she'd make all of us miserable to where we'd say, please don't come to our house. We don't want you to come over. I remember one time our senior minister, his name was Larry. He called, and I happened to be, I answered the phone. And he said, hey, Mike, would this be a good time for me to come by? I just want to stop by the house. And I said, come on over. This will be a great time. But I didn't tell anybody he was coming because I knew what that would mean for me. About 30 minutes later, the doorbell rings. My mom goes and opens the door, and she says on her way to the door, I wonder who this is. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be good. She opens the door, and the look on her face, I can see it now, and this is a long time ago. It was awesome. It was great. What wasn't so awesome, I didn't think this through, was when Larry said, yeah, I called Mike 20 minutes ago and said we'd be coming, and guess who had something to do? I was like, see ya, I'm out of there, because I knew I was going to be in trouble. But we get all panicked, we get stressed out, we freak out for some regular person. I mean, just imagine Martha in this situation. We're talking about Jesus is coming to your house. the King of Kings, the Prince of Peace, the great I am. I mean, the Son of God is coming to your house. And so Martha freaks out, just like I think many of us would. And it causes her to miss what is really important. Look at verse 40. It says, but Martha was distracted. Key word there. She was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. Man, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to clean this, I have to cook that. I have this to do, this is urgent, this is what matters, I got to get this done. So Martha, she came to Jesus and asked, honestly, I think that's way too nice of a translation of that word, asked. Martha was tattling on her sister. Bottom line. She was whining about this. I can hear a whiny voice going on here. Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. She was distracted by the preparations that had to be made, and she missed out on what was important. Now, for today, has that been or is that currently happening in your life? That you are distracted, drastically distracted by what is urgent over what is really important. Now, I wonder how many of us, and this includes me, we've been faithfully chasing after the urgent while neglecting what's most important. And so if you're taking notes, I put in your notes, what's the most important thing you've been distracted from pursuing? I think that's a great question. I think it's a question we need to wrestle with. We need to take some time with. We really need to think about that question and let it sink in. What's the most important thing you've been distracted from pursuing? What is the most important thing? Some of you would say, if you're a follower of Jesus, most followers of Jesus would say, I've been distracted from spending quality time with Jesus. I've gotten so busy on urgent things, I haven't put him first. I haven't been reading his word like I think I should be. I haven't aligned myself with him. I've been distracted from this. Some of you might say, I've been so busy doing things for my kids. I'm doing this and doing that. I've been so busy doing things for them, I haven't actually, and it's okay to admit this out loud, probably not in front of them, but you can admit this to other adults. I've been so busy with my kids, I haven't really enjoyed them because I've been doing. I haven't made a real investment in them. I know a lot of parents would have to say, if they're honest, we've become so child-centered parents who our lives revolve around our kids. And man, that's easy to do. We get so focused on our kids, but what have we neglected? What have we neglected that is important? We've neglected our marriage. Our marriage is that rock that holds the family together, that marriage that builds into your kids, and they see that and they see the example. And you're neglecting something that would strengthen your kids and nourish your kids. Some people would say, I've neglected my body. I have so much going on. I'm so busy. I don't eat very well. I eat a lot of junk food because it's convenient. Man, who has time to work out? So many more urgent things to be done. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to walk. I don't have time to go to the gym, whatever it may be. For some folks, it might be more of an internal thing. Some addiction or habit that you've got going on, some recurring sin that you need to deal with, but all these urgent things keep coming at you and you keep putting it off, blowing it away. Be honest with yourself. But because there's so many urgent things going on around us, we need to ask ourselves, what's the most important thing you've been distracted from pursuing? Let's get back to our text, back to Mary and Martha. Martha is distracted. She's whining to Jesus. She tattles on her sister. This verse would be translated in the Manning house, how this would look in my house. One of my children, the older one, would come and say, Jesus, tell that little brat to help me. That's what Martha's doing. Tell her to help me. Jesus answers, Martha, Martha, the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things. Stop there for a moment. If you had a Bible verse for your life that described it, for some of you, that might be it. Because some folks are freaked out all the time. I'm talking about all the time. There's so many urgent things coming at us. I don't know how I'm going to get this done. I don't know how I'm going to get that done. There's so much to do, and the list just gets longer and longer and longer. Martha, Martha, the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen, key word, she has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Mary chose what is better. She made a choice. Martha surrendered to the urgent. Mary chose what is important. Now, I can promise you this. This is just a fact of life. If we are not intentional about this, if we're not intentional about this question, the urgent will crowd out. The urgent will push out. The urgent will get in the way of what is really important. This happens all the time in my life. I'm willing to bet it happens all the time in your life, where we have a choice. We have a choice to make. Where we have time for what we choose to have time for. That's why I'm saying, with God's help, we are going to choose that which is important over that which is urgent. Now, this morning, I don't want to say, hey, you stink at doing that. You got to do better. Suck it up. Figure it out. Do it. I want to give you 3 things that are practical. Practical steps, things you can do to help with this. These are things that I need to remember, because I can fall into this trap also. I can fall into tackling urgent things. I'm going to give you 3 practical thoughts to empower you to choose the important over the urgent. Now, this first idea I'm going to show is an idea I got back when I went to Ozark. And it's been proven to be helpful so many times in my life. It's a very strategic tool, and here it is. First, create artificial deadlines. Create artificial deadlines. Now, Mike, what do you mean by that, create artificial deadlines? Here it is. It's just what it says it is. It's a fake deadline. It's artificial. It's made up. Let me illustrate it this way. Pretty much every week, when I get up and I teach, I have to prepare a message. I have to get things done to be ready to be up here to present that message. Technically, when is my message due? It is due Sunday morning around 11 to 11:05, because that is about the time that I step up here. That is technically when it is due, but I started a long time ago having a false artificial deadline of Thursday at 4. I want to be done. Thursday at 4, I may tweak things, change things a little bit at the last moment, but it's done. Thursday at 4. Now, see, I take this time very seriously. It's really important to me, but I also have other things that are just as important to me, that I want to make sure that I have time for them, and then I can do those things. So putting an artificial deadline helps me to devote my energy to this and devote my energy to other things, my mind to other things. Maybe in your life it looks something like this. Your family decides to take a long weekend. You decide Wednesday after work you're going to leave town for a few days and you're going to enjoy that long weekend. It's going to be awesome to be gone. You're looking forward to it. You're leaving Wednesday after work, but here's the problem. You still have Thursday and Friday of work to get done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so, but you know you're leaving on Wednesday, and so what happens that week? It's this mystical, magical, incredible things. It's kind of weird, but what generally happens is you get it done. You do 5 days of work down into 3 days of work because you have this deadline. You know you are leaving and you need to get it done. And so you work more efficiently and you work more effectively. You create an artificial deadline. As part of that, also at my time at Ozark, I can hear Dr. Zustiak saying this. You need to set a time when you say your day is done. Just set a time. My work day is done at whatever time it is. I'm going to work until, because you're never going to finish it all. Those of you in the corporate world, you know this is true, there's always things on your list. The list gets longer, the list gets bigger, but you've got to say, I'm cutting it off at this time. Because you will be more effective. I leave the office between 4 and 4:15 every day. That you can set your clock by me walking out the door, because that's what's going to happen, because I'm going to pick my boys up, because I get to spend time with them in the car where we get to talk about their day and hang out and do that. It's important to me to be home for dinner every night. That's just what my family did growing up, and so it's what I'm going to do with my family. But knowing that you have this set time that you're going to go home makes me more productive all day long, because I know 4 o'clock is coming. It makes me more productive when I know 4 o'clock is coming, because I don't have all day to get things done. So how might this apply to you at your house? For those of you that trying to get your husband and kids to clean the house. I had a friend years ago. She would say this. She would tell her husband and her kids, we are cleaning the house for 45 minutes. We are going to work hard that entire time, and then we're going to do something fun. And she said it was like magic. More of the house got cleaned in 45 minutes than when I just said, we're just going to clean the house. Because the kids would drag it on here and there. You have this artificial deadline. It helps you get after it. It really frees us up to do that, which is so much more important. Second thing, and this is probably I should do a whole series on this alone. Second, if you're taking notes, and I can't stress this enough, this one thing, if you apply this one thing, it will change your life. I'm begging you to do this. Be ruthlessly selective in your yeses. Be ruthlessly selective in your yeses. Be careful what you say yes to. Be incredibly careful. I tell people all the time, if it is a big yes, then you need to be spending time praying about it. Be selective in your yeses. I think for so many people, the obstacle to a meaningful life is not the lack of commitment. I think it is being overcommitted. Let me say that again. For so many people, the obstacle to a meaningful life is not the lack of commitment. It's being overcommitted. Some people are way overcommitted, doing way too much. We have to remind ourselves and tell ourselves, being busy doesn't equal being productive. Having busyness going on around us doesn't equal meaningful. Just having things to do is not the goal of life. It's not what it is all about. Many of you are familiar with Rick Warren. He would say this. He said, for most people, instead of adding things to their to-do list, they need to be taking things off. I thought that was pretty good. Years later, I heard a guy named Nelson Searcy, who I found out then was actually the brains behind Rick Warren. Nelson takes it a step further. He says, Rick was right. They need to start taking things off their to-do list, but they actually need to create a don't-do list. Isn't that a different way of thinking about things? Don't do list. It could change your life. We have to be selective in what we say yes to. Why? Why? So we can say yes to the best. So we can say yes to the absolute best. Not to the good, but yes to the best. You've heard me say this lots and lots of times. When we say yes to something, we are saying no to something else. And we need to think about that. When someone asks us to do something and we want to say yes, in our mind, we need to be thinking, what am I saying no to? Because if I said yes to this, and I've got to say no to something else, that's what's going to be happening. That's just the reality. See, the key isn't to do more. The key is to do more of what's important. The best moms don't do more. The best moms do more of what is important. The best teachers don't do more. The best teachers do more of what is important. They invest their time and their energy into what's going to make the most difference. To follow Jesus the best that we can, we don't want to do more and more and more and more and more things. We do more of the things that bring glory to God. See, the best don't do more. The best do more of what matters. That they focus on the important over the urgent. So we have to be selective in what we say yes to. And then third, do first what matters most. Now, if you're a follower of Jesus, I'm going to go back to Luke's text here. As Jesus is talking to Mary and Martha, the most purest interpretation of what is going on in this situation, he says, what matters most? And then he answers the question, time with Jesus. Time with Jesus. Mary has chosen what is better, time at the feet of Jesus. Spending time with him. Now, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to put this out there. If you are a follower of Jesus, let me tell you what you are not doing. If you're following Jesus, here's what you are not doing. And I'm not beating you up, because I struggle with this exact same thing. I'd be beating myself up. For so many people, this is true. If you're a follower of Jesus, what you are not doing, you are not spending time with God on a regular basis. It's just the reality. You're not aligning your heart with His heart every day. You are not seeking Him first thing in the morning. You're not letting His word, His love letter, be a regular part of your life. You're not spending time talking to Him. How do I know this? Because it's human nature. We add more and more and more things to our day, and more urgent things come in, and what happens is they crowd out the most important things. It's not that we don't love Jesus. We really love Jesus. We really want Him to be active in our life. We really want to live for Him. We really want to make a difference for Him. We want to impact people. We want Him to work in us, and we want Him to work through us to impact people. But we don't spend time with Him first thing in the morning. Why? Because you are tired. Why are you tired? Because you're busy. Why are you busy? Because you said yes to so many things, and then we end up putting off things until I have time. I'm not the only one that says that. That's why we do first what matters most. Now, I'm going to argue till the cows come home that the most important thing we can do is to spend time with Jesus at the beginning of the day. And I'm not being legalistic about this at all. Don't hear this legalistically. But it's just this mentality that says, I want to get His input. I want to get His direction. I need to choose Jesus every day. I need Him every day. I need His word to renew my mind. I need to align my heart to His heart. I need to align my heart with His priorities. If I'm going to choose what's most important each day, I need to seek the one who's most important. Matthew 6 says, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and then everything else will be added to it. But the problem is, for most of us, we are seeking everything else. The urgent is coming in, and then we're wondering, why isn't this working like it's supposed to work? Why am I so tired? Why am I so frustrated? Why am I not doing what really matters? See, when we seek Jesus first, when we spend time with Him every day, we can say things like, God, give me the mind of Jesus. Give me your mind for people around me. Help me to think on the things that honor you. Give me your eyes. Help me to see people as you see them. Help me to see situations as you see them. Give me your ears where I can really hear people. Give me you, Lord. Give me your words. Let my words be an encouragement to those around me. Let my words build people up. Let my words give life. Let me hear people. Help me to walk in step with you. See, when we spend time with Him, we can ask Him to do that. And in a few weeks, I'm going to talk more about this idea, about starting out in the morning with Jesus and then setting times throughout the day to make sure that we are connected with Him. Years ago, I knew a guy. He was a friend of mine at the time, and I've moved down here, and we've got separated. His name was Phil. Phil was a great guy. Phil had climbed the corporate ladder very, very high. He was like number 3 or 4 in GM. And he was in Oklahoma for some reason. I can't fathom why his office was moved there, but it was. But Phil was doing a discipleship thing with me, and he said, oh, Mike, I was like, how can I pray for you this week? We talked about that all the time, and he says, oh, I've got a meeting with the CEO. And I don't remember what day he told me, but let's say Wednesday. I don't remember the day. And he goes, I'm kind of freaked out because the CEO is coming to see me. I was like, oh, I'll be praying about that. So I prayed about the day that he had the meeting. The next day I'm talking to Phil, and Phil says, man, I said, how did it go with the CEO? What did he want? He's like, you're never going to believe what happened. He goes, we've been working on this, putting God first, and Phil could be a little legalistic on things. I'll just say that on the front end. Phil got up a little bit late that morning, had a big fight with his wife. Phil had set the goal that his wife was going to be number 1. Well, Jesus was going to be number 1, wife number 2, work number 3. He had a big fight with his wife. He needed to work that out. And then he was going to blow off his time with Jesus. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so he picked up his phone. He called his secretary at home and said, hey, I'm going to be late this morning. And she says, you have a meeting first thing with the CEO. He says, he can wait. And I was thinking, you what? Jesus could wait, Phil. What I told him, he's like, no, this was a priority in this. And so he did his Bible study at home. He went into the office. He was there about 40 minutes late. The CEO was waiting in the lobby on him. He goes in, and the CEO goes, I'm not used to being made to wait. And Phil said, well, honestly, I'm sorry, but it's just what had to be. And he goes, what was so important that I had to wait? Because you probably don't want to know. And the CEO's like, no, I really do want to know. Why? He says, well, am I good at my job? He's like, yeah, you're great. He goes, well, you're not answering my question. Why'd you make me wait? And he's like, well, honestly, sir, you're number 3 in importance in my life. This company, what? And he's like, God's number 1. My wife's number 2. I got up this morning, had a big fight with my wife. We had to work some things out. And then if I'm going to be a good follower of Christ and do the best I can do in my job, I got to spend time with him. And I was going to blow that off and come see you, but then I said, no, you're number 3, so you're going to have to wait. And so I spent time reading my Bible, and then I came in and see you. He goes, it's the first time I'd ever seen my CEO speechless. He goes, he just looked at me, and he's like, well, how about we have a meeting now? And the meeting went great. But Phil's point was this, and it was interesting. If we want to seek and honor God, if we really want to do this, then we got to seek him first. We got to ask him to give us direction to do what matters most. Now, practically speaking, most of us around here, we live by a calendar. And so we got to put our priorities on the calendar so we aren't being reactive to things. At Ozark, one of the things they taught us was to write the word appointment on your calendar. Don't even say what it's about. But your appointment was to spend time with God. And then when someone says, oh, can you do so and such? And I have an appointment at that time. Well, let me wrap this all up. Here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line to all this. We can make excuses or we can make progress. But we can't do both. Think about that. We can make excuses or we can make progress, but we can't do both. It's time for us to draw a line in the sand and say, this is what's really important. I'm not going to make any excuses about that. If it's really important to me, I've got time to do it. I've got time for it. But because I'm going to start choosing what is important over what is urgent. Man, I don't always get this right. I don't. I don't always get this right, and I bet you don't either. But with the help of Jesus, we can say, I'm choosing Jesus every day. I'm going to spend time with him. I'm going to get fed on his word. I'm going to spend time talking to him. I'm going to seek him. And because I have done those things, because I have taken those steps, it is so much easier during the day to see what is a good opportunity and what is a distraction. When we do that, it's easy to see what is important and what is urgent. And I'm going to have to say no to some good things so I can say yes to the best. I'm going to have to choose the important over the urgent. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, help us with this. Do a work in our hearts because we struggle with this. Lord, help me, help us to align our hearts with your heart so that we will have the courage and the wisdom to say no to the good so we can say yes to the best. Lord, you want to lead us, you want to guide us, you want to direct us each and every day. Help us. Help us to choose what is really important over what is urgent. And to do that, part of doing that is we're going to have to answer the question, what is important? List our priorities and remember them. So it frees us, gives us the ability to say no to some good things so we can say yes to your best. Lord, you are a good, good God that loves us so much, that cares for us. You don't just walk away from us. You want an living, active relationship with us each and every day. Lord, help us take you by the hand and walk through life knowing that you will lead us, you will guide us, you will direct us, you will work in us, and you will work through us. And Lord, I thank you for that. Lord, help me to submit myself more to you each and every day. Help us to become more and more like you, more and more in tune with what you have for us. Lord, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your grace. I thank you for your forgiveness. I thank you for who you are. And I invite you in to work in our lives in a powerful way. And I pray all of this in the powerful name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Please stand as we close our service today.